Okay, so here we are broadcasting live on Twitch, and we're also going to try and record this as a YouTube video as well. So if you're live on Twitch, please feel free to post stuff on the chat. Hopefully that will come on a recording, so you'll see the chat on YouTube anyway. Obviously you won't be able to reply to that live chat. But let's see if we can get this to work, because I'd like to do this going forward rather than using YouTube Live. It'd be nice to do it to Twitch and record and post up to YouTube later. So this is the next version in our SmallAccounts playlist. In previous versions, in the run up to this, we were just concentrating on the nominal ledger and we were creating the trial balance. The last video we got a little bit tied down with software and the installation side of code, and really just got a little bit off track. So I want to bring it back on track, this one, back onto the software itself, and let's concentrate on expanding out from the nominal ledgers to other parts of the accounting software. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got a bit of a confession to make, as in my other confessions you may have seen me make, and that is that I've already made some changes, and that's because I tried to stream to Twitch on a previous date and it didn't work, but I did make the changes to the code, and I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered undoing the changes to redo them again on another video. But it's not fair just to carry on with those changes without explaining them, so I thought I'd spend a bit of time just explaining what I've done, but then we don't have that tedium of like trying to work it all out again. So best way to do that is if I just do git status, and you can see there's a few files that have changed, and notably is the addition of these 4 migrations, so that means 4 new data tables. So that's what we'll concentrate on. So let's have a look at the data tables first. Have I got my editor up? Yes, so migrations, here we go. So so these are the 4 new data tables in our database. So we've got sales ledger, actually that's not going to work, is it? Sales ledger, and we've left it purely as a placeholder table with no references at the minute. Obviously we'll pad that out as time goes on. We've got sales ledger lines, which it belongs to the sales ledger, so sales ledger has many sales ledger lines. And then we did the same for the purchases as well, so we have purchase ledger lines, very same, just boil it, just like skeleton table frames. Okay, we also have a modification to this table, so that's the nominal headers table. And what we did here was we're going to make this what's called polymorphic. I don't know whether we've explained that before. But polymorphic means rather than it being a relationship to a given table, it can be a relationship to any table that wishes to use it on that basis. So let's bring up my spreadsheet again, because I think the spreadsheet sort of is the easiest way to explain this. Okay, so let's just go to new document and blank. There we go. So at the minute, before we made these changes, we just simply had the date, the account of that date, and then this had many nominal transactions, if you remember. So what happens now is, let's just bring this across. So what happens now is, so this is the nominal headers. And so in here all we have is an ID and a date. Okay. So that had nominal transactions. Okay, I'll just put them there as a placeholder. Why did I put 2 blank lines in there? Okay. And yeah, so what we need to do now is sort of allow this to be sort of accepted by a parent. But ordinarily, as in the case of nominal header and nominal transactions, parents tend to be hard coded to a particular table. So if I find the nominal transactions table here, so you'll see that this table is hard coded to the nominal header. It can only belong with regards to this oversight to the nominal header. Now obviously there's the nominal accounts for the transaction side, but this can't belong to anything else because it's hard coded, and that's fine for this table. But for this one, for the nominal header table, we in reality want that to belong to more than one thing, and here's the reason why I've sort of come to that decision. If we have our sales ledger, and the sales ledger, you know what, it's got like maybe an invoice ID, maybe a date, maybe a reference and so on. So you'll have like a customer if I can type, so you can have a customer and you know all the stuff that goes with the sales invoice, sales refunds, whatever it might be. And then we have the sales ledger lines. So these are the two tables that we've just created, or that I've just shown you in the database, that are new tables. So sales ledger lines, and obviously that will have its ID, but that also has a sales ledger ID. And that is the foreign key that relates to the sales ledger. Sorry, just need to check the stream's okay. Okay, seems to be alright. I hope this is recording okay. Oh, there's a bit of a haziness. Trying to get the green screen working behind here has been a bit of a pain. I just can't quite get it right where it's sitting right. So there's a bit of a, where are we? Bit of a fuzziness around here and around my head and whatever. So yeah, my apologies for that. Hopefully it doesn't detract too much from what we're talking about. Yeah, so we have the sales ledger ID, which is a foreign key to sales ID. But as we've said in previous discussions, the sales ledger line could actually contain numerous bits of information. So you could have like the net amount. When I say numerous bits of information, I mean nominal code. So this would be the net amount, which would go to a nominal account. But then there may be a discount applied. So you may have, I won't put the percentage fields and all that in, but you might have a discount account, which is a nominal account, maybe subject to VAT. So does it have a VAT account? There may be any number of other things in there. I mean, it's unlikely to be much more than this, but it could be maybe a sales rep commission account, or who knows. There could be any number of nominal accounts used just on that one line. So in effect, this line would be a perfect candidate to be a parent to the nominal header, this nominal header table here. But equally, the same argument would apply to purchase ledger lines, because in reality it's the inverse, as it were, with the credits and debits, but it's the same thing. So it would make sense, rather than having these fields here, why not just simply have a nominal header ID? And then that nominal header ID will hold any number of nominal transactions related to that particular line. But the beauty of doing it as a polymorphic relationship is, if we do it as the same with the purchase ledger lines, we can also have a nominal header ID to relate to the nominal headers. So we don't have to have a separate table for nominal headers for purchases, nominal headers for sales, and then nominal ledgers for the nominal ledger, which we'll get to as well. the polymorphic relationship means any one of those ledgers, and any future ledgers for that matter, can connect to the nominal header and encapsulate those particular nominal transactions that apply to that particular line. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you can understand why I'm going to be doing it that way. So that basically explains the nominal headers and the 4 new tables. So then we created the 4 related models to do with that. So let's have a quick look at them. I don't think I've done much on them, to be honest. Purchase ledger just has many purchase ledger lines. So that makes sense. Purchase ledger line will belong to purchase ledger, makes sense. But then here we go. Here's where the morphing starts. The polymorph. It will morph one. In other words, it will have 0 or 1 nominal header class, and that nominal header class will have one-to-many transactions contained for that one line. So I hope that all makes sense. It may be a bit to get your head around when you're first looking at this, especially if you're not used to how data structures is, but I do genuinely believe this is going to work going forward. So that's the nominal header, and it's the same with the sales ledger. So we have sales ledger has many sales ledger lines. Sales ledger line belongs to sales ledger and can morph to the nominal header. So you can see how both now go to the nominal header. Now in here, nominal transaction, we didn't have this relationship in for the nominal header, and we should have done. I don't know why I didn't put that in last time, so that should have been in, so I added that. And then in the nominal header, we've why have I commented that? I think I was having issues trying to populate it in the code, but I think I sorted it and I've just left that in. That could probably come out, but I'll leave a commenter for now. But this is the headerable, so that's the relationship name from any field, any ledger that wants to use this will refer to it as the headerable, and you'll see that in the code. And then obviously we have the existing nominal transactions. So that's it for the models. So the database seeder is the only other thing. This is just a compiled file from my Vue.js. So the database seeder, let's just see what I did with that. I can't remember what I did with that. So the way you can tell in PHP Storm is if there's this bar here, they're the change lines. So I think everything else is as is. Oh, so we've created sales ledger nominal. Okay, so we've created a sales ledger as a nominal account. And here, so let's see what we've done. We've created a sales invoice. So that's an entry in the sales ledger table. We've created a sales invoice line, which is a sales invoice relationship to the sales ledger lines relationship, of sales invoice. I've called it sales invoice, but don't get confused with the variable and the class, because a sales ledger might not be an invoice. It might, but it might also be a payment, a refund, an adjustment, any number of things. But this is particularly an invoice on the sales ledger. So sales invoice, sales ledger lines, we've created a blank line. It's fine. And then the nominal header, this is where the data comes in, because we've created a nominal header, which is sales invoice line, nominal header. So sales invoice line, nominal header, and then we've created that. Now remember, the only thing in there was the account of that. Looks like I fixed these last time. Let's hope that's the case. And then in that nominal header, we've created the transactions, or we've created a transaction, which has a debit to the sales ledger nominal. Remember, that was this here, this new sales ledger account we've created, and a credit to the sales nominal account. So that makes sense, doesn't it? We've credited our sales, so that goes on the right hand side, and we're debiting the sales ledger nominal. So rather than debiting the bank as we did in previous ones, we're debiting the sales ledger because the sale's been made, but we haven't got the money yet, so it sits in our sales ledger. So that's the change to the database seeder. So let's see if we can let's just see if we can run the database migrations. hopefully we won't run into any issues here, because I don't really want to get tied down with software. Migrate, refresh, seed. Let's hope it all just goes in. Oh yeah, okay, that looks like it's gone in. Before we go any further, let's just open up the database table and have a look at that. So where are we? Local and small accounts. Okay, so what did we populate? We populated sales invoice line, nominal header, and the transactions. So sales invoice, that's in sales ledger. Yeah, so that's sales invoice in there, number 1. Sales ledger lines should have a sales ledger ID of 1, because that relates to that sales ledger, so that's fine. We then had the nominal count, which should have an ID of 1. And sorry, not nominal count, nominal header. And there we go, a headerable of 1. So you can see how the relationship works. It does a what did he call it? Like a reference. Now, I've done this. Yeah, I've done this without hard code and any of that polymorph in. So that must be working. That must be working correctly the way we want it to, without me having to manually set these. So that's fine. So this is what is going to appear. So you can see that this is basically saying the entry on the sales ledger line table with ID number 1. So the sales ledger line table with ID number 1 is this. So this is the parent of this header. But equally, if it had come from the purchase ledger and the purchase ledger lines, this might create another one, and then the nominal header here will be number 1, app models, purchase ledger lines, or number 3, or whatever ID the row is. So it's like a flexible way of having a parent, rather than it just being hard coded to one model type of parent. I'm just not happy with that haziness around me. Yeah, I'll have a mess with the lights another time, but shouldn't be too distracting. Okay, very good. So that all works. So let's just make sure we can view the trial balance in the browser, because that's where we got to. So SmallAccounts.test, nominal accounts trial balance, and there we go. So that's where we got to. Now, obviously, what we've just entered with the sales ledger is we're not visualizing that here. Excuse me. We're not visualizing this here yet, but we'll get to that eventually. What we do know is that the data is in there. Okay. So, what's our next step? What can we do now? Shall we start on the sales ledger, actually viewing the sales ledger? Yeah, why not? So this is nominal accounts trial balance. I'm wondering if that should be nominal ledger, and then inside that sits the nominal accounts. I suppose it's just a semantic issue, that really, but I don't know. Anyway, let's create a sales ledger route. So let's see, web. So how have we done it up to now? Okay, so I think we installed Jetstream last time, didn't we? That's what all the palaver was about. I think since then it's actually been upgraded as well. It's so frustrating. I'm not bothering with that now. So nominal accounts. Okay, so let's do the sales ledger one then. So root. So let's see, do we want to sales ledger a sales ledger will show us a history of the sales ledger, won't it? So root resource, um, let's just clear that off. Okay, so root resource, sales ledger, and that's going to go to sales ledger controller, which we haven't made yet. So what we'll have to do, I don't know whether it allows you to, sometimes get errors when I try to make a root, make a controller when I've already created the root before it. So let's have a go, make controller, so we'll call this sales ledger controller. Yeah, no, okay, it's fine with that. So let's just import that here. No, it's not registered it yet, give it a second. Import. Oh. Okay. So let's see, let's think about what we're doing here. Sales ledger controller. So if we did an index, in effect what we're saying is list all the sales ledger items. So I think that's the best place to start in it. In fact, do you know what, I could just save myself a bit of time here if I delete that. And just do this again and do model equals. It just fleshes out the methods stubs for me, so just, yeah, saves me a few seconds, but hey, all helps. So the index is going to be sales ledger, and for now we'll just get all, and then we'll return inertia render. So we're going to have sales ledger index, and then we'll pass as a sales ledgers just to pluralize it, and we'll call that, oh, I haven't, do you know what, I don't even have to really create a variable. What I can do is just put that as the result of the query. Yeah, these lines are just because this header doesn't match what it's actually doing. So if I fix that, it just changes it in the title. PHP Storm's a bit iffy like that, but I'm not going to complain. Okay, so now that it's query, I think that can be get actually. Yeah, okay. So we have a sales ledgers. I'm going to make that, because we're going into inertia, so sales ledgers. So then in our JS pages, and we're going into, that's a point, where did the, oh yeah, I didn't render that in inertia, did I? So this is all going to change now from what we did here. So with the original setup, we were just downloading to a blade file, which Laravel ships by default. But we're moving into view components now, so all the pages are in here. So I will eventually have to move the nominal counts up here, but for now I'll leave it there. So we do need a new directory. We'll call it sales ledgers. Now, pluralization is just my convention. It's not that it's necessarily the correct name. So, and inside there, we're going to create a view component. No, we're not going to create a package.json file. We are going to create a view component file, index. Okay, let's just check this is working. BG. We can just check that Tailwind's working as well. Okay. Oh, we need to have a npm run watch. So if this is done correctly, we should be able to go sales ledger, sales ledgers, just sales ledgers, I think. It was plural, wasn't it, on the root file? I'll just let this build, and then I'll press this. Hey, our first error. I think it's just, I don't know whether I put this as a plural yet. No, I didn't. I'm going to put it as plural. That's just convention more than anything. Okay, cool. So we don't have an error. Let's just have a look at the console errors. Cannot find module sales ledger index here. So again, I think it's just a pluralization. Sales ledgers, there we go. And there we are, sales ledger. Okay, so we're in. Cool. So I'm not going to worry too much about aesthetics for the time being, so we'll make it look pretty later on. I don't want to get bogged down with that. So this is basically just a list of all the entries in the sales ledger. So let's just create something very simple. Now, there's a few tricks with Tailwind. I'm not going to go into detail now. So let's just do something basic. If we did UL and then an LI, and we can just say v4 equals sales ledger in sales ledgers. Now, how inertia works, again, not getting too involved, but how inertia works is we pass in the data via a prop. Sales ledgers index. So what we can do is say props. So here, what we put in here is the name we give it here. So this sales ledgers, we can take that and we can say sales ledgers, and then we can say the type is going to be an array, because we know it's a collection, which is basically an array, and we can set a default and we can just put that to an empty array. So hopefully, okay, no errors, no content, and that's because although we looped over it, we haven't done anything with it. So if we just simply output the sales ledger, we should see some JSON code. Oh, there we go. So this basically is the data ID1 created at 2024. If we go to the database, sales ledger ID1 created at 2024. So it's basically this table is what we're seeing here. Now obviously we're just dealing with a skeleton data to get the structure in place, but you can see how this now, where's my code, ties in with this list, we're going to have a list of things. So, eventually we're going to have like a customer ID, the properly formatted date. We'll be able to calculate in the model how much it is. So the model will do a calculation so that we can dynamically work that out at the time that we need that information. Cool, yeah, okay. So let's list this. Let's put a bit more info in. So if we say, let's put a class in here. So we could say class, and we'll just say M2, which is a bit of a margin. You'll see why in a second. So inside that, we'll now create a new div. And inside this div, we'll do no, it's not M2, it's P2. I wanted the padding to go in here. I want to bring the inside in a bit. And then inside here, we can just put a little bit of style in. So we can say shadow rounded, and we can just say sales ledger ID. There we go. You can just see a faint sort of box there. So I do want to bring that out a bit. So let's put some margin at the top of the whole list. Okay, and actually let's just put the margin all the way around. That's better, yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's see, what can we do with this? We can't really do much with this at the minute because we've not really any data. So could we do the calculation, bring the calculated data into that now? That might be an idea. So let's go into the sales ledger class. So we're going to go two relationships deep here. Right, so what we can do is use the has many through relationship. So if we do public function actually no, even that's not enough. We're going we're going 3 relationships deep. So how can we do this? If I want to, okay, let's work from the other way. Let's go to nominal header, and okay, so we have nominal transactions. So we should be able to get what's in the nominal transaction table. Amount. Was the one we seeded in there? Has that been put in there? Number 3. Oh yeah, okay, so that's in there. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's £500. Debit to that, credit to that. So we need to find a way of me do this. We need to find a way of accessing the data in the child class. So I think there's an aggregate relationship. With some. Oh, okay. So if we, so that's the relationship. So this basically is nominal header. Ooh, we could just chain this from the top then, from sales ledger, couldn't we? So we could say public, let's just do the debits first. Public function debits, return this, sales ledger lines. So they've got it without that. Sales ledger lines. That has one nominal header. Nominal header has many nominal transactions. And that's saying we do some. What's the name of the field? Just amount. Actually, that's just amount in it. This isn't useful right now. So sales ledger amount. Let's just see how that renders. Let's get rid of these two for the minute. So if I just said, let's just dump sales ledger where ID 1 I don't know if this will work. Forced. Oh well. Forced. Property nominal header does not exist on this collection instance. So let's go back to sales ledger. Nominal header does not exist on this collection instance. Undefined property nominal header. Yeah, I think the problem is here. Yeah, we're going to have to do it step by step, aren't we? Okay, so for each this sales ledger lines as sales ledger line. So then if we say for each, no, oh yeah, for each sales ledger line, nominal header, nominal transactions, as nominal transaction, no, we want norm nominal transaction, nominal transaction amount. Let's just return amount. Amount. 500. And we know that 500 is the value of that one thing. So what's going to be better is if we brought back an array of nominal codes with their corresponding values. So rather than have amount equals 0, let's just call it that amount is an empty array, and then we can say amount nominal transaction equals we've got to do this. So we just need a net of each of the nominal codes used, don't we? So if we had sales discount DISCO and say VAT, if we had sales of 500, let's say discount of 50, let's say sales of 550, discount of 50 and VAT is 100, and that will go into the sales ledger as 600. 5, 50, 51. So on our list, where are we? On our list, we'd want to see let's take the DD out. So on our list, we'd want to see the ID, obviously the date, and then we'd want to see we'd want to see but we want to see each of the nominal codes. Sales ledger. No, sales ledger is just a hit on the ledger, isn't it? So all we want to see, right, so okay, so this means we should be able to access it as a method, but what I do need to do is protected appends. We need to append it, otherwise it doesn't get added. So now we should be able to get amount as a property. Sorry. Okay, so we get amount as a property. So when we come down to the view, we should be able to just tidy this up a touch. Yeah. Although, why is it in square brackets? I don't know. I'm not complaining for now. But we've got it. So, let's just populate this seeder a bit more then. So we said sales of 550. Discount and VAT. So discount is 50. And we're going to, so that credits the sales ledger. Did we put a sales discount in there? Sales ledger, sales, nominal, rent, telephone, bank. No, so let's put a sales discount in there. Treat that as a debit. Where are they? There. So to credit the debit the ledger. No, we want to credit the ledger. We want to debit sales discount, and then we wanted VAT. So VAT is going to be 100. We're going to debit the sales ledger, yeah, and credit VAT. Okay, I think that's it. I think let's run the migration again. Ooh. Just get rid of that. Okay, so let's see what this loads. Oh, it returns an array of values. Oh yeah, because we didn't fix that, did we? So let's just hard code in the sales ledger code. Which we now know to be sales ledger 6. Okay, so the amount is going to be amount is not, so the amount is going to equal the nominal transaction amount. Hang on. If nominal transaction debit nominal account ID equals this sales ledger ID, then amount is it plus equals? We would have to assume it's a debit is the plus value. So if the debit is the sales ledger, we want to add it. If the credit then we want to minus it. Let's try that. Okay, so we have 600 and I have 600 written down. 550 sales. So these are on the credits. 550 sales. Take 50 off for discount. That's 500, but add 100 on for the VAT. That gives us the 600. So that's right, yeah. Yeah, it's calculated it right. So that's excellent. That's given us our sales ledger value. That's really cool. Okay, well, let's stop there. That's about an hour. I think we've made good progress there. let's see how this has worked out as a recording for, because obviously I've been streaming live on Twitch. If I can transfer this recording up to YouTube as it is, I will. If not, I might just have to make another one for YouTube. But anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully if you like these videos, but if you watch it on YouTube, please like it. Please click subscribe if you wish to see more of these videos, and thanks for sticking with me. I look forward to seeing you at the next video.